Sonic Universe Issue 15. We started with a fight between the Destructics and the heroes, with Kong confusingly being shocked at first at Sally being so eager for a fight when Fiona wanted a discussion instead. Flying Frog somehow dodges Sonic's spin dash even though Sonic should be way faster than him, and is even lampshaded. There's an unfunny, pointless panel where Kong calls Simeon his cousin just because they're both of the ape or monkey kind. This is the kind of joke that would be written by a human, well, obviously. Of course it's written by a human. But think about it from an ape person's point of view. They're not gonna question this kind of thing. He's probably pretty used to... This obviously isn't the first time that he's ever met a monkey person since he lived in a whole village of them. This has to be then the first time that he's ever met an ape person, but why would he care enough to point this out? And after Fiona and Sally briefly fight, Fiona explains that while the Destructics did come here to cause trouble, she came to recruit the heroes into the fun. Why would she ever expect them to join in? Especially when she was just talking about causing trouble, meaning that the fun would involve that. Instead of anyone questioning her on what she means and objecting right away, Sally complains that word travels fast around here, and Sonic asks why they got here so quick, which is never explained. We never see Fiona having a warp ring with the Destructics so that she can go to the Dragon Kingdom. Like, there's no indication that she has one now. Fiona goes on to explain the obvious. When she came looking for the Destructics in Muggle's bar, she learned that Drago was stupid enough to go back to the Eggman Empire. Well, I guess he is in it for power. And the others haven't been the same without him and Lynx. Fiona says that all she needs is money, which makes sense since you need money to pay for yourself to live, and she would want a shortcut past school. Sleuth says that Fiona can have them, explaining that he saved enough money to take care of himself, and he's seen enough to know that now is a good time to disappear and hide. We're never going to see him again, by the way, so he really did disappear and hide. Did that mean that he's not going to be a criminal anymore? So wait, I'm expected to believe that Sleuth was the leader, and not Sergeant Simeon? But he's a military sergeant. How does that make sense? And also what doesn't make sense is they weren't the same since Drago and Lynx left. I could understand them being sad about Lightning and Lynx leaving, but Drago didn't have a good chemistry with any of them. He was just a jerk. Why would they miss him? Fiona explains that in order to be allowed to be their leader when she looks like she's the least competent of them all, without any muscles or anything, although Sally has that in common with her being immortal, she had to promise that their first order of business would be to try to get Lightning Lynx back on their team. So did the Destructics genuinely get attached to Lynx and were depressed and leaving because of it? That comes out of nowhere. It's good, but all we know about him is that he's a thug. Sonic actually lampshades this, asking since when did they care so much about each other, talking as if he'd know in depth what their group dynamic even is. Predator explains that he was one of the original four and has been with them the longest. And he doesn't explain any further than that, like he cared about them and was nice to them or nothing like that. I guess he doesn't want to look weak, but he could have had it in a thought bubble. Flying Frog babbles something about how the Destructics are all outcasts, which makes sense. Like, of course, because they're outcasts, they'd be criminals and vice versa. And Sonic lampshades to tease Fiona that they're basically talking about loyalty to Lynx when Fiona's involved. Out of nowhere, Fiona tries to get Tails to convince the heroes to trust her even after what she did to him when he's clearly the wrong person to ask for that, especially in front of Sonic and Sally. Where did her intelligence go? Why would she say that he knows her better than anyone else? I never got the impression that the two used to be best friends. I'd expect her to say that to Sonic. In fact, I'd say Scourge would know her better than anyone else, other than maybe Nicolette. He spent the most time alone with her. This is all just a poor excuse to get Sally to satisfyingly punch her in the gut and make her double over while Tails feels sorry for her. I don't know why it has to be Sally who does that, not Tails' protective big brother. Why'd she steal his thunder? Gotta give her the moment, of course. Sonic asks how they can get Lynx to leave the people they want to be with, not to mention the whole army of Lynx ninjas, while Tails looks moody with his arms crossed looking down, because I guess he doesn't want to feel sorry for Fiona. I never got the impression that the Lynxes were ninjas, but whatever. Fiona explains that the Iron Fortress, the former home of the Iron Queen, has two heavily enforced doorways that can only be opened from the inside, but from there it's a straight shot to the throne room and the Raiju clan's bride. Fiona makes the plan that since they don't have the time to break both gates, Team A will fly Team B over the outer walls, avoiding spears, and Team A will fight ninjas with Tails being with them, while Team B, Sally and Fiona, will disengage a gate. Fiona, for some reason, is the one to joke that it's just like when they were friends, when you think she'd be really awkward about working together with her and defensive, wanting to reassert that this is absolutely nothing like it. Instead, she's joking about it, making fun of the situation. Because she's more optimistic than I thought for a moody, rebellious teenager. It doesn't make any sense. Sally coldly responds to her, "You may have been on the team, but you were never a freedom fighter." Notice that Fiona's not smirking or smiling here. Makes sense, this is pretty depressing. I misremembered Sally's line here as being, "You may have once been one of us," which would have sounded a lot better, I think, being sadder. Anyways, for once, Fiona's odd behavior is well written here, as a bland, generic villainess would just smirk at being coldly dismissed like that, instead of finding it depressing that her old friend hates her now. This isn't exactly the first time Sally's acted like this to her. If only we could have seen what she was being reminded of. Meanwhile, Team C, because there's not just Team B and A suddenly, deals with the outer gate as Con sends a spin-dashing Sonic covered in electricity towards the gate while Simeon punches it. And this leads everyone up to Commanding Storm, who mistakenly says they're invading her castle before correcting herself that it's not her castle. That's interesting. And Lightning standing right beside her. Are they siblings or lovers? Con lampshades that they wouldn't have listened to them if they didn't invade the castle, and Con tells her that if she breaks away from the Iron Dominion, he'll uphold her right to her lands and keep the Iron Fortress as well. For some reason, she doesn't agree right away. Maybe she wants to avoid suspicion of being a traitor? After all, she says that Con can get challenged to a duel, and if he wins against Lynx, he'll get what he wants. She should know that Con is way more powerful than him and would mop the floor with him. Maybe that's her point. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's a Xanatus gambit, because if she just agrees right away, it'll look suspicious, but if she challenges Con to a duel that he'll easily win, she gets off scot-free. She says that either way, she wins, and tells Lightning he'll fight to prove his continued worth to the clan, proving that she doesn't have that much attachment to him. So maybe the only reason that she accepted to have him at her side after exiling him earlier is that she wanted to manipulate him, make it really tempting to go back to the clan. Con then tells Sonic to fight in his stead, with Sonic amusingly bowing as well, saying that all of this formal talk is silly while trying to play along. It's probably better off that Sonic fights Lynx instead, because Con's all about lightning that he has to miss or it'd be too violent. While Sonic is at least allowed to actually hit his opponents, then again, he was shown hitting Lightning Lynx with lightning earlier, and he didn't die. Lynx furiously attacks him, saying that he doesn't want to lose everything he has after she took him back after all those years. Never thought I'd feel sorry for a generic thug like him. Sonic shows compassion, surprisingly, explaining they didn't realize he had so much invested in this, but he's got a whole city people to rescue, and hits him with a bunch of spin dashes and apologizes that his loved ones come first. She calls Lynx worthless and casts him away even though he loves her, telling him that the last time he embarrassed himself saying stuff like that, he was rejected. For some reason, Sonic thinks that this isn't what he agreed to, and Fiona lampshades that it very obviously was. They told Sonic that they wanted Lynx back. Simeon puts his hands on his shoulder, reassuring him that he belongs with them, and Predator tells him the blunt truth that they would have rejected him again eventually anyways. Huh, a sweet friendship moment between the generic thug group. That'll never happen again. Plus, this comes out of nowhere so much, and they don't act so friendly to each other, so if anything, this just seems creepy. Fiona promises him that with their next plan, they'll all get what's coming to them. All of the Lynxes. Lynx is thankful to hear about that. I'll never actually get to see that, and I have no sympathy for the Raiju clan whatsoever now. Their queen says that while she renounces the Iron Dominion, that doesn't make them allies, and they leave with Con having his arms sweetly around Sally and Sonic and Tails looking unhappy. Con's technically not dating Sally right now, but she's still letting him treat her like he's her boyfriend. So maybe it's basically them going through the same stage as Sally and Sonic did, where they were friends with benefits, and then a couple dozen issues before 134 they officially started dating. I guess this is a trend with Sally. Commanding Storm says that the Iron Dominion won't learn about this, explaining that the clan of the Four Houses is on the verge of collapse. All they have are their legionnaires, and the heroes of the West will take care of the Iron Dominion for her so that the Dragon Kingdom will be hers. Tails thanks Sally for sticking up for him, for some reason being too stupid to get what Fiona was doing and just saying she was teasing him. He's not that naive. Sally is the one to ruffle his hair affectionately for once. I mean, she gets to do it so little that it's refreshing enough that I can kind of forget the fact that it's not Sonic who does it, I guess. And she admits in a wall of text that she was worried she might be overstepping her boundaries by standing up for him. I guess that's why she doesn't act like a mother figure or a big sister to him, and Sonic does. I really like that Sally admits that punching Fiona in the gut was really cruel for her, saying, "I felt a bit brutish after that. It's one thing to be proactive, but I'm not a thug." It helps reaffirm her character as the goody two-shoes. And I love how Sonic says, "Actually, I thought it was kinda hot." Because that directly reminded me of when Scourge said that Fiona chooses to be like a thug. And it says about it, "And that is hot!" Maybe they aren't so different after all. Or rather, he wishes Sally was more violent than she is because she'd be a lot more useful that way. Which kind of does, in a roundabout way, translate to her being more like an evil person. Tails of all people says enthusiastically that Sally should slug Fiona again, directly contradicting his pity for her and avoiding looking at her after that. And Sally mutters that she's got too many boys on her team, saying, "I'm drowning in testosterone." When Sonic asks Con where the Chameleon Clan is, Con just says, "I have no idea," and that was a little funny. When they all wonder how to find them, Espio appears out of complete nowhere in a Deus Ex Machina with no foreshadowing to help them look for him. Granted, he's a spy, invisible ninja, so he was probably tracking them down and heard about what they were doing, so he'd know where to go to find them. And he'd want out to get back to his friends. But after he betrayed his friends and chose to be loyal to some clan over saving the world with them, I don't think redemption after that should be earned lightly. This issue is by Ian Flynn. Once again, it has the leader of a clan agreeing to reject the Iron Queen super easily in the span of just one issue. It feels rushed, just about as rushed as returning Iron Nicole to having free will in just one issue. Though at least they all have their various reasons. And I can't really imagine this kind of convincing taking more than one issue anyways. This time it's because Commanding Storm wants power herself, which I was kind of expecting since we saw her so much before, so if any leader would be the power-hungry one who wants the queen to be overthrown, it'd be her. The reason the heroes made it this far was from a plan from Fiona letting her Destructrix work together with the heroes to break into the castle and get their friend back, having a genuine friendship moment in the Destructrix for once, as for probably the only time I felt sympathy for Lightning Lynx. Fiona's characterization was a little odd, as she's dumb enough to try to convince the one she wronged the most to help her when she used to be characterized as smart, though at least she had a smart plan later. And she actually jokes around about it being just like old times, when I'd expect her to be all defensive and in denial of it based on her obsession with not being a hero's or identity. And Tails should have known she was trying to manipulate him instead of going, whatever that was. He's not an idiot. I loved that Sally felt brutish about punching Fiona in a weak spot to reaffirm her overly self-righteousness flaw. And that Sonic showed what he has in common with Scourge by saying her being that violent is hot. Tails is too nice to logically support it though. And Espio showing up out of nowhere felt really convenient. Though it makes sense in a way that he'd want to track them down. And while Fiona got me excited saying that she's planning to give those Lynxes what they deserved, I'm sure we'll never really get to see that revenge plan at all. At least I assume so from what I know about her later appearance.